This is Joseph Patrick Murphy with a video about what to do when you receive a notice of an asylum interview. If you filed for asylum, sooner or later they're going to ask you to come in for an asylum interview. This will be conducted normally at one of the 8 asylum offices in the United States, sometimes at a satellite office, and sometimes the asylum officers even ride circuits, so you theoretically could be interviewed at your local immigration office, but in most cases it'll be done at an asylum office. My office is in Pittsburgh. Most of my clients are in Western Pennsylvania. The office that has jurisdiction over us is in Arlington, Virginia. That's a suburb of Washington, D.C. But the notice will tell you where the interview is, the date and the time, and you want to make sure and have that information, make sure you're available and that you go. Many people, when they get the notice, the first thing they do is they panic. They call me sometimes in the middle of the night, and my clients, they'll be screaming for a copy of something they filed 4, 5, 6 years ago in some cases. I don't have those things at my fingertips. No matter how panicked you are, your lawyer might not have it either. We have a practice at my office where when we put in an asylum application, we always scan it and email a PDF to the client, the asylum seeker. So the fastest way for you to get a copy of your asylum application, if you're one of my clients, is to look in your email. We would have emailed you a copy of it years ago, and we would have told you at that time that eventually you're going to get a notice and you're going to be panicked and you're going to want to see it and to look in your email. So look in your email first before calling me all panicked, needing a copy. I can't run around. Some of the stuff, after 4 or 5 years, we may not have it anymore. It may be in storage, things like that. But we did email it to you, so look in your email for a PDF copy. The next thing is people are scared. These are nerve-wracking. You've been spending years here in the United States, and now, at least in theory, you have to explain why. And people panic and they want to make sure the lawyer's going. Guys, you have to pay lawyers to go to these interviews. They don't just automatically go, even though you wanted them to, even though no matter how bad you want them to. And I can understand that you'd want them to. They don't just automatically go, okay? You have to pay them. Pay me, you have to pay other lawyers. Now, some lawyers do take the money up front for everything, including the interview, but I don't do that. I haven't done anything like that. About 8 or 9 years ago, I switched to a pay-as-you-go program. The interviews were taking so long, they were in some theoretical future. We didn't know that the clients would ever go there. Their plans could change, the law could change. In fact, the value of money can and did change over the last 4 or 5 years here in the United States. So we stopped about 8 years ago selling anybody a, so to speak, all-inclusive asylum. That means that if you want me to go to the interview with you, you're going to have to pay me more money. If you don't pay me more money, I'm not going to the interview. Even if you thought I would be going, even if you really, really want me to go, even if the world's going to end if I don't go, I'm not going unless you pay me to go. Now this, at least with my clients, is in your contract in multiple places. It's in the list of what's not included, and it's on the processing checklist that is included in your contract. The interview was never included for the reasons I said. We do a pay-as-you-go program. We couldn't predict what the law would be. You could have married in the meantime, had to change your plans. But ultimately, I don't do the interview unless you pay me to do the interview. The interviews are not that bad. The initial asylum interview, and I'm not talking about court here, I'm talking about an asylum interview. It's not a court case. The asylum officers aren't there to argue with you, and in many cases, if they can, they'll try and help you. It's a pretty civil thing. It's non-adversarial. You may want to try and do it yourself rather than paying a lawyer, but this is a legal process. You probably should have a lawyer. But if you want it to be me, you're going to have to pay me to do it. And we could talk about price, but you're not going to have a lot of time for a payment plan. Usually you get about 2 or 3 weeks notice of the interview. I couldn't give you a payment plan that lasted 2 weeks. It wouldn't make any sense. That's not really a payment plan. So you're going to need to come up with a big amount of cash pretty quick. And everybody immediately starts laughing and crying and begging me for discounts and payment plans on top of discounts and then double reductions. Look, guys, you've had 4 years on average in the United States working. You should have saved up some money. And if you haven't saved anything up already, you should start saving now because you're going to have an interview. And if you want me to go, you're going to have to pay me. Now, But the price reflects a bunch of realities, including the fact that in addition to just going to the interview, I'm going to have to prepare you. That takes time. We're going to have a couple intensive sessions getting you ready for your interview. Then I'm going to have to take 2 days off, drive down to Washington, D.C., stay overnight, go through your interview with you. Those take 4 or 5 hours, and then drive back. So you're talking about a lot of attorney time, and a lot of time that other people have already paid for. I can't just give it away because you want it, all right? So the bottom line here is my clients, the interview is not included. Now, other lawyers, some of them do it all included. I think that's kind of reckless anymore because of the delay to get to the interview. If you take $20,000-$30,000 off someone, have them pay for everything up front, well, what's going to happen 2 years down the road when they marry an American? They're going to want their money back. So that's silly. They also might feel trapped. That is, if they didn't like you, or they would feel afraid to go to another lawyer because they didn't want to pay again. So again, we do a pay as you go here. If you want me to go to you with the interview, you have to pay me. Now, another thing you might want to think about, if you don't have that kind of money, is paying me just to prepare you. You can come to my office, or we can meet over Zoom, WhatsApp, any of those kind of video services, and we can go over your application, what your testimony might be, how is the best way to tell your story. I can't tell you what to say in an interview. I'm not allowed to do that. It has to be your story. However, there are some points in your story that may be much more important than you realize, and I can help you get ready to tell your story, emphasizing important legal points. So that's another option. I can prepare you over the course of 2 weeks, usually do a couple sessions in my office, again, over Zoom, whatever you want. But beyond that, I can't give you time that other people have paid for. No matter how scared you are, no matter how much you thought you may have been getting an interview for free, it's in the contract. The contract says you don't get it for free, and I go over the contract with every client. You initialed it. It's not included, and it's on purpose, okay? And that was to make the product accessible, and because you might never get to an interview. So that's another thing to think about, right? One is, where is the application? People get these notices. What does it mean? It means you have to come in for an interview. It says the date, time, and place. Well, what did I file all those years ago? Well, that's actually if you're my client, it's in your email. You don't need to call me at 2 o'clock in the morning screaming for a copy of your asylum. But if you didn't keep a copy, I won't have one at my fingertips. And the fastest way for you to get a look at your asylum is to check your email. And the last thing is, the interview was not included in what you paid for, at least not at my office. And I think most offices do it this way. If you want me to go to the interview, that's an additional charge. And that's all set forth in your contract. Anyway, this is Joseph Patrick Murphy with some tips about what to do when you get the interview notice. Thank you for watching.